What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react to a new report by Bloomberg talking about how now everyone wants to invest in Canada. Not us. The entire world seems to be moving away from the United States, actually. And I mean, I really think that a lot of Americans are in denial about that. We're in denial about the decline of the US. Basically, we're kind of pretending that it's not happening. Meanwhile, Canada has all this exciting stuff going on. What do we have going on? You know, Big Macs that are over $7. like, so today, I really want to check this out and learn about, if Canada has become a better investment than the United States. So let's take a look.
Matt, interesting column, lots of data in here. You follow the money and you found that it is actually going to Canada.
This is one of the greatest periods for overseas investment in Canada that we've seen in the century. And it may be unprecedented because.
Oh, see, this is what I mean. I don't know. I don't know if I'm coming across as, jealous or salty or something. Maybe I am. You know what? Whatever. Maybe I am. Because it's that sounds really awesome for Canada. And it's you guys got something you're looking forward to. I don't know what we're looking forward to here in the US. Stuff is getting more expensive. No one can even afford a house anymore. We're still at war with Iran somehow. Donald Trump is still the president. I guess we're just waiting for that all to end or so. If it even does, I don't know. Just so I don't know. This is such a nice positive thing about what's going on in Canada, but somehow it's making me feel upset about the U.S. I guess. Yeah.
We have to wait for the rest of the year. But the short answer to your question is that money is pouring into Canada like we have not seen from everywhere. Stocks and bonds are the obvious beneficiaries. One example is there's this company in a suburb of Toronto called IMAX. You may have
We've heard of it.
Seen the hit movie Odyssey.
Oh, IMAX. I've heard of that. IMAX, movies and yeah. I was so locked in, oh, this is gonna be some Canadian company I've never heard of before. No, I've heard of this.
Summer.
Have you seen it yet? I have not seen it.
Yes.
Did you travel across countries or even get on an airplane to see it in 70 millimeters?
No, actually, I saw it with my grandchildren in a non-IMAX theater. But my team, which includes.
I'm sorry, are they saying IMAX is Canadian? Are they joking? Or I don't know what they're saying about IMAX. I think they're trying to be funny. Anyway, this chart doesn't tell any sort of jokes or humor that I don't get. The money's pouring in. Foreign investors are scooping up Canadian financial securities at a pace that's rarely ever been seen. And he was saying in the last 100 years for Canada, this unprecedented. It's interesting because it's I know Canada, even Mark Carney has been going around to a lot of different countries, kind of as a result of trying to distance Canada from the United States. Again, how does it all relate back to that? Canada, in its effort to get away from any sort of reliance on the US, is making a lot of new friends a lot of new friends with a lot of money.
Jinpei, who compiles a lot of the data that we share with you. We are planning to see it at an IMAX theater again for me this summer. But the point is that whether it's IMAX, Cenovus, which is an energy company, Canada, since Mark Carney became the prime minister in March of 2025, has outperformed everyone in America and also
What?
the Eurozone and everywhere in the world. The 10
What? I mean, is this here? Here comes the cope. Here comes the denial. I know the U.S. has not been doing good, and our economy has not been doing good. At times, our stock market has strangely tanked and then rebounded, and it's kind of going crazy because there's so much uncertainty right now. Um, I didn't know Canada was just straight up doing better than us. Like in what metric? Because Canada is clearly a smaller economy, but is it just experiencing more growth like over the last year or two, or like what exactly is doing better?
largest stock market, America, has outperformed everyone in America and also the Eurozone and everywhere in the world. The 10 largest stock markets in the world, Canada appreciated the most, more than
That's
40%.
like
Oh my God. 40%? Did he say in the last year or since Mark Carney has been prime minister? I don't care. In that time frame, is the Canadian stock market up 40%? Is that right?
Okay. And we know the past year has been pretty good for stocks.
yeah.
Canada's done great. Its bond market is also doing great, partly because
I didn't why I've literally never heard anything about this. And I feel it makes me think that here in the United States, our news, our national news and mainstream news goes out of its way to not talk about that stuff. Like what? Why? Are we trying to like save our feelings? Like so we don't feel inferior to Canada or something? Like why have I not heard about this? This is pretty important.
the inflation rate in Canada, unlike the Eurozone or America, is actually trending lower. Okay. And is
What? What? So is inflation down? You got to be like very particular with the specific data points they're talking about when and how they phrase it. I don't know if inflation is down in Canada, but the inflation rate, the rate of inflation is going down. So inflation can still be a positive number, if you know what I'm saying. It can still be growing, but not growing as much if it's going down. So it's got to be more that, right? Like, am I coping? I don't know.
outperforming both the Eurozone and the U.S. Aside from the money coming in, Canada is beloved. When I say that, if you go to Atlas, World Atlas, Canada is right up there with Switzerland as the most loved country in the world. Okay. And
I don't know why that strikes me in a certain way. Because I absolutely like most Americans have a very favorable opinion of Canada. We don't know much about it, but we have a positive opinion of you. I know Canadian culture in Canada is very loved and respected by a lot of people around the world. On Canada has such a wonderful reputation. And I think that hit me particularly hard because that is one of the biggest things that has declined for the US, especially in the last year and a half, 2 years since Donald Trump became president again. You can talk all about our economy and stupid tariffs and how we're causing our own inflation and losing jobs but and that's all true, but something that's intangible that's just also been hit so hard is the American reputation. People don't like us anymore. People don't trust us anymore. And then it's like you look at Canada which is like number one or up there, like tied with Switzerland, like as one of the most beloved countries in the world, sitting right next to us, which right now is probably one of the most hated countries. I don't know what I'm even supposed to take away from that other than like what a wake up call. What a wake up call that should be to like every American should just be like we should be much more embarrassed about that. I'd love to see where we are in this ranking.
Guess why? Because of its policies being so reasonable to everybody else in the world. And where do you think that comes from? It comes from this guy, Mark Carney. Who is
It's like you're literally like we're the opposite. We're the anti-Canada. Like literally, it's not even a joke. Your policies are reasonable. You guys are easy to get along with, easy to negotiate with, to make deals with. Meanwhile, in the United States, we are difficult to make a deal with. We always want the upper hand. We always want the deal in our favor. We don't always uphold our end of the deal. Like it couldn't be more opposite. And we wonder why things are going so poorly for us.
he? Well, he happens to be a Rhodes Scholar. He was a governor of the Bank of England.
He's talking about Mark Carney.
As the first non-British citizen to do that. He was governor of the Bank of Canada. He was running Goldman Sachs operations before he got to the Bank of Canada. So this is somebody the world is and spectacular Davos man. So this is
Yeah, like for me, I don't know like what Canadians think, but for me personally, I had never heard of Mark Carney in my entire life until like a year ago or whatever. Whenever he became Prime Minister of Canada, I heard his name for the first time. I was like, who is that? Like, what? Who is it? And then suddenly he's the Prime Minister of Canada. And then suddenly he's like renowned and everyone loves him. And people around the world really like him and respect him. And he's making historic speeches and like pumping Canada's economy and like making all these deals and like doing all this stuff. It's pretty miraculous. Regardless of your political affiliation, I know he's a liberal or whatever. I think just objectively, like, even if you're a conservative in Canada, you gotta be pretty pleased that if you got a liberal a liberal prime minister, this is the one you got. Like, you have to be pleased about that. I think he has like a very high approval rating in Canada, no matter the political affiliation. That's got to be true, because I've just heard so many like good things. At which again, man, it's not a good idea to compare Canada to the United States right now, because you compare Mark Carney to Donald Trump. He's like the anti-Trump, or maybe Trump is the anti-Carney. They're opposite people, and we're opposite countries at this point. And the difficult thing about that is Canada is the one experiencing all the success. So if we're the opposite of success, it's not good.
somebody the world knows very well. He's very reasonable. He's very circumspect about anything without having the data, the evidence, and everything else. And the world likes this, and it now shows.
Full disclosure, also former chair, right, of the Bloomberg
He
board.
just happens to be a former chair of the Bloomberg board. That was his last job.
He's
But
done
then
a
he
lot.
went to be prime minister.
And he
So.
became prime minister.
Yeah, I guess that's what happens after you.
But
No wonder. Never. It's all a sham. No wonder he's kissing his butt. No, I'm kidding. I'm sure Mark Carney was on the board of like everything at one point.
I knew him
Bloomberg.
back when.
It's fascinating considering this is really the closest ally, right, in American history. And yet
We
we
share
know
the
it's
biggest border.
right. And we know it's been tense, and yet they're off and running in a big way.
Well-
and they're moving on in terms of doing deals and so on and so forth.
I mean, look, I have to say, tariffs, we all know, are taxes on consumers. And
Not all Americans know that. He says it like it's common knowledge. It should be common knowledge at this point. I mean, you really do not hear Americans talk like in our daily day-to-day conversation, like at the gym or the whatever, the grocery store, hanging out with people. People are not talking about tariffs in like, oh, the tariffs on Canada are really hurting us. Nobody's talking about that. So we're not nearly as upset about that as we should be, since it's hurting us. Um, just to his point there.
It should be said that way. And what has happened, especially that is egregious to the United States, is that we export a lot of booze. Okay, we're pretty good at that. Liquor and wine. California is hemorrhaging because provinces in Canada, not the federal government, but provinces in Canada are so understandably annoyed at the U.S. that they have decided to keep American alcohol off their shelves. And the California wine industry is just hemorrhaging at this point. I mean,
That makes a lot of sense. I haven't heard, again, strange that I haven't heard about this. As an American living in the United States, you'd think we'd want to talk about this. But I actually didn't know how bad, like, the Californian alcohol industry is suffering. Like, I know Canadians are boycotting American goods, like the alcohol. I think we just try to pretend it's not happening or something. I don't know.
something like $500 billion we're talking about. So that's an example of how bad this is. And, I forgot to mention, the energy company that is a top performer on the Toronto Stock Exchange, Cenovus, it is doing so well because 50% of its revenues come from the U.S. and it's not included in the tariffs. Yeah. And why is that? Because energy is something that we need here to keep costs down.
Right.
Yeah. That is funny how if a certain service or good is like very, very, very important to our survival, then suddenly there's no tariff on it. Suddenly it's like, oh, Canada, you're good. You're selling us electricity? Yeah, we won't touch that. That's fine. Keep it up. Like, you can't have it like both ways. Or maybe you can because in that example, Canada is making a lot of money off of us. So
Exactly.
Matt, you remind us that it's the U.S.'s largest trading partner behind Mexico. And I'm wondering, should we think about it like a zero-sum game? Like, is Canada's gain the U.S.'s loss in some of these cases?
Is Canada's gain our loss? I mean, if there's like a certain deal, like there's a NATO military contract that went to Canada. There's only one of those contracts, and it went to Canada, not the United States. In that sense, Canada's gain is our loss, literally. But overall, if Canada does better, like in general, that should be good for us. If we had half a brain, we could benefit from that. I'm curious what he has to say.
Without a doubt, not only having been our most steadfast ally in American history since Canada became a country separated from the Commonwealth, but so much of the U.S. depends on Canada in so many ways, and it's a symbiotic relationship. And right now, the worst part of the bargain is actually south of the border, not north of the border. And as long as this continues, that's going to be the case.
What a travesty this all is. Just like hearing all that, like our greatest friend and ally, historical ally, what was a very successful, mutually beneficial relationship ruined. Ruined. For what? For what? I'd like to ask Donald Trump that. Like, for what? Like, we've ruined it. For what? Is the United States in a better position right now than it was 2 years ago? Obviously not. And I'd like Trump to answer for that. But I'm sure that it'd be pointless. You'd get some insane cockamamie answer about how the United States is doing better now than it has ever been in all of history. Just total delusion.
One of the things I think is interesting, Matt, and I think about this a lot in this time where we are with a certain administration, a certain set of policies, but I wonder about the lasting and longer term effect. And you include in your story that how Canada was looking to a non US company when it was looking to buy as many as 12 new submarines. And I guess in the past that they would have looked to the United States.
Well, on
Or maybe.
submarines, probably not.
Okay.
Okay. However, you're right. That is the biggest, military purchase for Canada ever. So it's significant that way. And when Carney
I mean, it makes total sense. It's so bad for the US. In the past, maybe Canada would have considered like looking towards the US for something we take a lot of pride in, our military and selling military technology and equipment, but it's like just objectively, why would Canada want to buy anything from the US, let alone your military equipment? That's important in a totally different way, like a national security way. Why would Canada want the US to have any say over that? But it's really a disaster because the national security of our two countries really, we're really codependent on each other in a lot of ways. So it's really a disaster. Like Canada is kind of forced to trust us in many ways for national security, but doesn't want to. So yeah, I haven't even thought about it like that. What an awful position that must be.
made the decision to buy those German submarines from ThyssenKrupp this summer, he did it with more than 50% approval. And so what's happening here is that Canada, and Carney specifically, is traveling around the world. He's connecting with just about every potential trading partner there is, which
Yeah.
is something that his predecessors didn't really have to do. They didn't have to think about it. He's doing it.
And obviously it is working. This is something I've kind of kept up on a little bit. Mark Carney doing his world tour, just as like Trudeau and Katy Perry are doing their world tour or whatever in the Bahamas. Mark Carney's doing his world tour, like literally going to Australia and Japan and places, Europe, like proactively seeking out trade partners, trade deals. On top of the fact that Canada already has a great reputation, like he's saying. So no wonder there's so much success being found with Canada.
And this is going to pay off for Canada. It's going to get increasingly more of a partnership arrangement with countries around the world that it didn't have before, and that's because of Trump tariffs.
And the Mark Carney factor here.
So over his overall, he was answering a question like, is Canada's gain America's loss? And he really says yes. He thinks yes. He thinks yes. Which is just another thing.
Is it all him, or is it the Liberal Party?
Canadians are like hobbits. They'll save the world for you. They're consistently underestimated. Carney has consistently been underestimated, certainly by.
Wait a minute. Let him cook. Let him. I thought he was joking. He's not joking. He's being serious.
Trump and his enablers. And he's somebody who does the work. And that's sort of what Canada is about. He does the work, whatever the work is. And Canadians like that. They like people who have integrity, commitment, and gratitude.
Yeah, well, go figure. It seems pretty straightforward to me.
Yeah, seriously. It's just yet another thing that's like, what a stark difference between Canada and the United States, and it just feels like we're heading in two totally different directions. And yeah, the whole premise of this video was like, is Canada a better investment than the United States? I didn't even know about the 40% positive growth in the Canadian stock market, and that's before all the potential future growth that's coming to Canada. So it certainly seems compelling to say. As an American, I never thought I would humor that sentiment, that statement of like, is the United States not the best investment in the world? It doesn't seem like it is. And Canada seems like an extremely promising investment. So, yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy for me, for any American to say it out loud, to admit. Because the United States has been very prosperous, very successful, happy, productive, wealthy, powerful nation for a long time. As long as well, more than I've been alive. So it's all that a lot of Americans know is the powerful, successful, beloved America. And it seems to be possibly ending. And at the same time, the this incredible growth in our neighbor Canada that we're trying to screw over, but we should be trying to help you. And somehow our downfall is linked to Canada's ascendance. It's bizarre, but it's real. It's how things are, and it's something that I think it's important for Americans to acknowledge, realize, and try to make ourselves better by understanding what's going on. So this was fascinating, a little depressing if you're an American, but important to see, I think. So anyway, if you enjoyed this, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment, especially if you're Canadian and you have any thoughts or opinions on all this stuff, or that'd be cool to hear your perspective. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Canadian things that I've never seen, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching and see you next time.